everyone. My name's Kristen. I also go by Ms.Filmingo, and thanks so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to share my exclusive interview with Sandra Sciberras. She's the director of the film Seven Snipers, which will be available on digital June 5th. Seven Snipers is an action thriller filled with suspense that stars Radha Mitchell, Annabel Wolfe, and Tim Roth. I'm so happy I got to connect with Sandra to learn more about the making of this film. But before we jump into the interview, let me give you all a little synopsis about the film. A retired elite sniper, Radha Mitchell, and her daughter, Annabel Wolfe, live a quiet life in the remote Australian countryside. That peace is shattered when a ruthless warlord, played by Tim Roth, from her past returns for retribution. Calling in her old crew, she prepares to defend her family. Now that you got a brief synopsis of the film, let's cut over to my interview with Sandra. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with me. I really enjoyed Seven Snipers so much. It feels like an old school, modern 90s action movie in a way, which I always enjoy watching.
Yeah.
How did you get a hold of the script written by Andrew O'Keefe? And why did you want to tell this story?
Yeah, I Andrew and I had known each other for a while, and one day, God, it's got to be more than a decade ago, he just pitched me this idea that he had, and I was like, oh, that sounds so good, and I was about to direct like this romantic drama kind of
Oh,
comedy, and I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't I love to direct films like that where my heart lies, And about then, years later, I got to a point in my career where I could legitimately say, Andrew, can I have that script,
yeah.
And I just, it was in such great shape, and I really, kind of loved everything about it at the time. And I started the mechanisms of attaching myself as a director, but then being a director, wanting to direct a film like this,
Hmm.
I kind of needed other partners with me. That was just going to
Right.
be, the case. So I then went to other partners, and we all got together. And that was it. That's how I got my hands on the script.
Well, it sounded like you had a really strong collaboration team behind you. I saw in the press notes you had some inspiration from Catherine Bigelow films such as like Zero Dark 30, such a great film. You also had Sicario as a major influence. What about those films specifically stuck out to you in mind while making Seven Snipers?
Just so character driven. It's like
Hmm.
so character driven. And with Catherine's films, it was the way in which she kind of ran with the cameras. In
Hmm.
that sense, it was like the way you just always felt you always feel like you are right there. You are right there with the soldiers. You're right there on this mission, and at any second you can be gone. So that kind of action in that military world, and she just does so well. I
Does
mean,
really well.
and I know there's like so many amazing films out there set in the kind of military world, but this film is not a military film,
No.
in that sense. We're not at war, we're at a woman's war, and her
Yeah.
war, and she brings in people that's going to help her. And so, we there were changes that we could make because of that. But and Sakara was just about the tone as well. So Sakara for me felt like those quiet tones every now and again within the action. Um, they were I mean, they were my inspirations. I mean, there's so many inspirations I know, but when I've been asked to kind of, nail the two or three, they are always coming to the mix for this
Hmm.
film.
How did you balance all the action sequences and all of the character development in this story?
Well, a lot of it came from the strength of when I read the script, there would be like 3 pages where nobody said a word and we were just in the grass. I
Hmm.
mean, so I just took that as well, took that element of drama and suspense and quietness, and worked that within the action. So, in films like this, like, the high stakes drama, you've got actors, you've got You got people where, you're going to die in a second. So,
Yeah.
get your shit together. So it was that real sense of urgency with the drama that really, for me, fits beautifully in genre like this. I
Mhm.
mean,
I
without
so
it, I don't
agree.
know what I'm watching. If you're not
Yeah.
watching characters do their thing and, fight to the death, I don't know what, in these kind of films,
Yeah.
that's why I watch them.
Yeah, definitely. And now getting into the part I really loved about this film is Radha Mitchell, who was just
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic here. She's so awesome. She kicked some butt here. What was it like bringing her onto the project?
Well, she was the first person. I mean, I'm going to tell you this, like, I don't even think Rada knew this until recently, but Andrew O'Keefe, the writer, and I had like, posters and images of like, who is Chris Hemsworth, like, years ago. And we always kind of threw Rada out there. And I think it was because she was Australian and she was on, she's, Silent Hill, she's Man of Fire, she's Pitch Black, she just comes from that world. And I really wanted an actress who had that kind of background and that kind of caliber weight and Rada just had that, and she also had the what I thought would make a good tough mum.
I loved her inner mom strength, but I also loved her see her put her full force fight inner female like rage to get out Tim Roth.
Yeah.
What was it like
Yeah.
bringing him onto this project? Because he does so good at playing villains. I love him watching him play a villain. What was it like bringing him onto the project?
It was really lovely. I mean, it's always a process, right? It's always a process when you
Hmm.
cast it. And this was the villain, and the character of the dragon. It's good. For me, the dragon always was like, I've said it before in the press, when I think of like the predator, you can't
Hmm.
see him, but it's an almighty thing that's going to get you.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, who's gonna play that role without without taking it so far-fetched?
Hmm.
Who's going to humanize that character?
Right.
And you know what I mean? And when
Yes.
Tim comes up on the list, he's such a good actor, and I just knew that he would bring, he would humanize the character, he would make sense of that character, and in his mind, his eye on the prize makes complete sense to him. And if it doesn't make sense to him, he doesn't care anyway. He's going for it. So that
Yeah.
complexity of the
Hmm.
dragon is why we really wanted an actor like Tim, and he was brought into the mix of actors, and it was like unanimous in the room. Oh my God, let's go for Tim.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy. He was brought
Yeah,
onto the
and
project.
he's also like he's I don't know, it's nice to work with actors of that caliber, but also just they're good people,
Yeah,
and we had really wonderful people around us, and at the end of the day, that's what you want to work with, right? You want to work with people who, yeah, want to be there. Um, and that's that. And it was a lot of fun. And, got to have a bit of fun, or else why on earth would we be doing this? We can't
right.
have a laugh.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well,
yeah, so we brought him out. We brought him out and he worked in the grass for many days.
I'm happy you had not only a strong collaboration team, but a really strong cast. But going into the stunts, did anybody have any training going on, or did you guys like have to set aside some time to like train everybody up to prepare certain shots?
There's a degree of training that we all did, like everybody did it, but there were some people, like Ryan Quanten, Tim, I mean, Johan, like these are super experienced actors who'd,
Hmm.
who'd, who'd worked in a lot of films where they'd handled rifles and guns. So they had a
Hmm.
really beautiful inbuilt knowledge when it comes to it. But it was still sniper training. So when it comes to the weaponry, we had a really good armorer. We had, our ex-sniper in training with the actors like a good week before, and then and like months before we'd be talking about it and working it, and then on set they were there all the time. So in that sense, when it comes down to, because even the quietness, you're in a scope, quiet, you're waiting. I mean,
Hmm.
all of that is intense. It's so intense. So that's actually where we spent a lot of it, a time preparing and being in training, was those moments and how to crawl in the grass, how to do it authentically as possible with the ghillie suits, and we're Australian, we probably do things slightly different from the
Yeah.
rest of the world. I don't, don't know, but I know that, it was important for us to do what we could do as best as we could in an indie film.
Yeah,
It's in an indie film. It's
yeah.
like that's what it is. So and the other stunts, we had stunt coordinators, we had, girls on motorbikes, we had, you know, Radha learned how to use, the tractor and the
Oh,
farm buggy thing. So she was like right into that. It was like, Radha, can you drive a tractor? She says, no, can you? No, let's learn how to let's do this. Let's do this. And she did it and I did it and I was bad at it. She was good at it.
well,
Bad at it.
well, I'm sure maybe that wasn't the most challenging thing, maybe, but for you, what was the most challenging part about this film, or maybe a scene that you felt was the most difficult to film without giving too much away? Because I don't want to spoil any scenes for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Probably just sometimes the logistics, sometimes just the logistics, and having a clear vision was not always possible
Hmm.
when you're very limited in where you're shooting. You're very limited on the farm. It's not like, we had a hard and fast 20 days to shoot this movie, and we never left the farm or the farmhouse.
Um,
So really, and I mean, it's a big property, but really
mhm.
being realistic, saying to ourselves, okay, this is the farm, this is where she lives, this is where he's coming. So the logistics of that journey was sometimes difficult. Um, other than things like that, it was just the challenge of just, making the film. But I say
Mhm.
challenge, but it's just directing, you know.
Hmm. Now, finally,
Yeah.
as we start to wrap up, what do you hope audiences take away after watching Seven Snipers?
I hope they just stay tense and enjoy it. And maybe not,
Yeah.
if you just go with it, you know, if we put too much on a lens of on everything, then
Hmm.
you might just go, oh, that was a bit this or that was a bit that. But otherwise, it's an entertaining film. It's my kind of
Highly
entertaining
entertaining.
film.
I
And
was so
and
enthralled
yeah,
in this on this world and
yeah,
seeing everybody. So,
yeah, yeah, and it's tense. Like for me, it was about the characters and the tense of from the get-go, from the beginning of the
mhm.
movie. So I think that's it, really. It's not $100 million movie, but we blow some shit up.
Yeah.
We do the best that we do the best that we can. But it was, yeah, I think it's a good. I liked it.
That's going to wrap up my interview with Sandra. Make sure you check out her film Seven Snipers, available on digital June 5th. This also concludes today's video, so please comment, like, and share. Subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media. The links are provided down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!